Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a really fun and different kind of video that I'm going to share with you guys today. I'm going to be talking about some makeup items that I loved so much initially that I ended up having to collect them all, or nearly all. This happens to me on occasion where I'll try out a makeup product and I love it so much that I have to go back and collect all the different colors or all the different options. So we're going to go over some things that this has happened to me with today. A lot of them are eyeshadow palettes, but some of them are not. I think some you won't be surprised by, others you might. Should be fun. I hope that you guys are excited about it, but before we get into the video, special welcome to anyone that is new here. I hope you enjoy this video today. If you do, please stick around, watch some of my older videos, and make sure that you are subscribed before you leave. And with all of that said, let's get right into it. Alright you guys, so we are going to start off with a lip product. Now this, I feel like I might be the only person on the world that likes these or loves these. I've heard from a few of you saying that you like them as well, but honestly I've also heard from a lot of people saying, no, these were not a hit for me. I am talking about the Hard Candy Plumping Serum Lip Balms. I love these things. I bought these at my Walmart. I initially started with this shade right here, Colossal Caramel, and I loved it so much I had to go back and pick a couple more, and I actually like all three of these. These two are my favorite for my lips, but this one is my favorite for my cheeks. This one right here is in the color Richly Rose. I do have this on my cheeks today. I also have a little bit of this one on my lips underneath this color right here, which again is Colossal Caramel, and this color right here, which I also love, is Bountiful Bear. I love how these make my lips look and feel. I also like them on my cheeks. I did have a friend recently say that she didn't like the smell of these. It doesn't bother me. I mean, they don't smell good, but just be aware of that. I've even had a sister say that she thought they were just okay after trying them out. I don't know why I love them so much, but after buying one, I'm so glad that I now own three of them. And I'm even considering picking up, I think there's one or two more shades that always seems to be out of stock at my Walmart. Even if I am the only one out there that feels this way, I am still happy to be the owner of this little collection. Let's move on to a couple eyeshadow palettes. I am talking about the Wet n Wild Color Icon palettes. I know that I've mentioned these in a few recent videos, my declutter, as well as my 2021 favorites. These are so good. I actually do own the entire collection of these. I have every palette that is available, and honestly I love them all. I think these are fantastic, especially if you are on a budget. I think the quality and the variety of colors and finishes you get in all of these different palettes cannot be beat for the price that you pay. These larger palettes are I think $5.99 a piece, $4.99 if you can find them at Walmart or Target. These ones are $3.99 a piece, I believe about $2.99 a piece at Walmart or Target. I love them all. They have been very well used over the last year, and even after all the fancy eyeshadow palettes I have been trying out, I feel like my taste is getting a little bit more like I'm willing to try out a Pat McGrath palette. There was a day that never would have happened before, and I like Pat McGrath, I like Natasha Denona, but I still think these are fantastic, especially when you consider the price. So very happy to be the collector of all of these. Honestly, I don't even think I can pick a favorite for you guys. If you like smoky eyes, this one right here, Lights Off, is fantastic. If you like silvers and cool tones and smoky kind of shades, this is really beautiful. I love this shade right here, which is kind of like a creamy glitter topper. For baritone lovers, Heart and Soul is amazing. If you like golds and bronzes, this one right here, which is I think Call Me Sunshine, is so good. This is probably one of my favorites. And if you are basic and simple when it comes to your eyeshadows, this Nude Awakening palette, which they have had around for a long time by the way. I had an older version of this in the black packaging that's pretty much identical. I think I've spotted one or two differences, but this is fantastic if you like your nudes. And then of course all the 5-pan palettes. I love them all. If you're into greens, I know I just got done talking about these, but the My Lucky Charm palette I think is fantastic. I love the good old Walking on Eggshells. I actually think this is not quite as good. The shimmer in here is not quite as good as if you remember the original Walking on Eggshells palettes from like 10 years ago YouTube. This shimmer is not quite as good as the pink in there, but it's still really good. And I think as a whole this is a really well curated palette. Good range from light to dark and good variety of finishes. I love this bronzy red toned palette right here. This is the Sundays one. The Petalette one is beautiful if you like purpley pinks. If you don't mind a pressed glitter, this Camel Flaunt palette is really nice, has a really beautiful taupe in it that's just so pretty. Oh, I think these are so good. I'm sure you're tired of me talking about it. I have talked enough about these this month, but these easily fall into my had to have the whole collection of products. Sticking with the eyeshadow palettes, I also wanted to mention these right here. These are the Essence little 6-pan palettes. These are also super impressive. If we're talking about like the best bang for your buck products from last year that really impressed me upon first try, these would definitely be in the running, probably along with those Wet n Wild palettes. I own 4 of them. There are a couple more. I think there's a blue one and like a silvery taupe one that I don't own yet. This is my favorite, the green one. I think it's such a great green palette. If you're into green tones, this is one of like the best curated smaller green tone palettes that I own, and I do own a lot of greens. This bronze one is really nice if you like warm brown browns. If you like cooler tones, this purpley one is really nice. I don't use this one as much. I probably should give this a little bit more use or get to know it a little bit better. This coral one is also really nice if you like more softer tones. I also want to say the packaging on these is really, really nice. I think the packaging on these is much better than the Wet n Wild ones. I do have one or two of those that have already broken. I was kind of expecting that. That's how all Wet n Wild products go. So if that bothers you and you still want something affordable that's gonna hopefully hold up a little better, I mean, I guess I can't say I've only had these for about 9 months, but so far they're holding up really well. They just seem a little bit less brittle than the clear plastic packaging, and I think they're super cute and tiny. Happy to own these for right here. I still want to pick up the 2 to complete my collection, and one of the first things that I thought about when I thought of this video. Let's talk about some Nabla. So the first thing I want to mention are these right here. These are the Nabla Skin Glazing. I do have, this one's called the Skin Bronzing, I think. Yes, Skin Bronzing, that one's a bronzer. But these, I initially bought 2 of these, I believe, during an Ulta Beauty sale, and I loved them both so much that I had to go back and collect all of them, even when they weren't on sale. So I initially bought I think I bought Ozone and Privileged. I liked especially Ozone so much that I went back after they were not on sale for half price anymore and bought 4 more at full price, which tells you how much I love them and how much I regretted not picking up all of them when they were on sale, but that's okay. I've let it go. I love these so very much. Actually, the one I don't love as much is the shade Privilege. This one, I haven't done my highlighter declutter yet. It's possible this one might get decluttered just because I don't like it nearly as much as the others. It's just a little bit too pink and a little bit less intense than I like my highlighters to be. But every other one of these I absolutely love. Ozone right here, really nice kind of white gold. If you like something super intense, very, very reflective as a highlight, that is fantastic. I also have and love the shade Amnesia. This one's just a little bit deeper than Ozone, a little bit more gold in tone. Here it is down here. So Ozone is up here. Amnesia is down here. It is so pretty. I still can wear that one on my skin. I mean, it's just about too dark for me. So if you are super fair, that one might not work. But other than anyone that is extremely fair, I feel like this would work on so many different skin tones. I love the 2 blushes I have. I have Truth and Independence. These are so good. I reach for these all the time. Probably next to my Pat McGrath blushes. These are some of the best blushes that I tried out last year. And then of course the bronzer I also love. This one's in the shade Ambra. It is so, so beautiful. It has a really nice soft sheen to it. Perfect color for me. The packaging of these is so adorable. I guess the only downside to these are they look so pretty when they're brand new, just the imprint on the actual product itself. But as you start to use it, as you would probably guess, it kind of wears down some of that really pretty texture, which is unfortunate, but again, it's not a deal breaker. It is the product inside that counts, and it is amazing across the board. These are all really great. Let's stick with Nabla and move on to these little cutie palettes from Nabla. So funny or interesting kind of story about these. So when I picked up the highlighter from them, I think this was about 2 Ulta Beauty 21 Days of Beauty sales ago, if I remember that right, but they had all of their eyeshadow palettes on sale for like 30 or 40% off. So I actually at the time was eyeing some of their larger palettes, the Secret palette and the Poison Garden palette. I ended up picking those 2 palettes up, and I just threw, I think, these 2 palettes into my cart at the same time because they were only about $12 at the time. I didn't expect much out of these ones, but actually I ended up liking these ones a whole lot more even than the Poison Garden and the Secret palette. They're larger palettes. These impressed me a lot more. I think the finishes inside here, you get a lot more variety in the finishes in here. You get some really good metallics, you get some glittery shades. I am wearing this palette actually on my eyes today. Take a look at this silver. I know I've swatched it a lot for you guys if you have been watching me for a while. It's just so impressive to me, and honestly every shade inside here, and not just this palette, but also the Metropolitan palette, which I always seem to call the Metropolis palette, is also fantastic. I love this shade especially. I wore this one on my eyes yesterday again, and you guys, this is such a pretty like pink toned bronze that has a strong but very tiny micro glitter. It is so incredibly beautiful. I don't know what it's gonna pick up on camera. This is one of the prettiest lid shades that I own. I feel like this should have been in my all-star lid shade palette. I know that I put the silver in there. Kind of been wishing I would have put this one in there as well, but that's all right. Also the Analog palette. This one I went back and picked up. This one is also stunning if you like warm bronzes. Has a beautiful, really interesting duochrome coral. Look at that like fiery gold coral. Oh, it's so much fun. They do have several more of these. I would love to collect them all. I did pick up a few more recently from Beauty Bay. They had a little sale on them, so I grabbed a few more. I don't have them yet. I will show you guys those when I get them, but I'm very, very happy with these palettes. Some of my favorites from last year, and ones that surprised me so much how much I ended up loving these. I still, like 6 months later, am wanting to collect them all. Moving on, we couldn't do this video without talking about my Juicy Pang water blushers. You guys know about these. these. I'm sure you probably guessed that these would be in this video. If you have been following me for a while, I still love these so much. I haven't found anything quite like these. I'm going to have a lot of liquid and cream blushes that I like, but none of them formula-wise are exactly like these right here. I just love everything about these. I think the packaging is cute. The colors are really fun. You can mix them together easily. They smell really nice. I mean, they're not like a strong smell. They just have this really pleasant scent that's very subtle that makes me enjoy using them all the more. I've mentioned that I like how they clink together. They're like little nail polishes. But more than that, the blush inside is such a great one if you are someone that has dry skin and you haven't tried a liquid blush yet. And honestly, I don't know that there's anything that's quite as nice as these as far as how hydrating they are without feeling sticky or tacky or glossy or greasy. These don't feel like any of those things, but they still give me some hydration on my cheeks and they still last somehow. So there's just one color right there. I typically like to apply these with a brush. I know I've talked to you guys about this before, just in case anyone is new here. Let me show you this purple shade, which is VL02. This is the coolest tone shade that I own. This one is so much fun. It's such a fun, like, bubblegum lavender. So I usually just take a swipe and kind of rub it around with my finger, and then I will take a little brush, either like a dual fiber brush or this little brush right here. I'll tap it onto my hand and then tap that onto my cheeks. Oh my gosh, I just love the smell of these. So nice. I know there are still a couple shades that I don't quite own, but I have a good range from like cool tone to warm, light to dark. I love mixing these together to create custom shades, and every single one of them performs the same. Such a great product, one of my ultimate products in my collection. I feel like if there were a few things that you could say describe me when it comes to like makeup, would be my Wet n Wild liner, my Sydney Grace eyeshadows, and my Juicy Pink blushes. Happy to own 7 of these. Maybe someday I'll even pick up the last like couple that I think they have like 12 shades, so maybe I'll pick up the last 4. Make that 5. Come on, Mandy, math. Maybe I'll pick those up next year, but for now, I'm very happy to have this little collection. Last item that I loved so much I had to collect them all is my Natasha Denona collection. Now, there was a day not that long ago, mind you, that I used to look at people that bought Natasha Denona eyeshadows and thought, you're crazy. Why would anyone spend that much money on an eyeshadow palette? And here I am today. What in the world happened to me? I have become one of those very people that I used to mock. I now own a pretty significant collection of the mini palettes, which I really love. I also own all of her midi palettes, which I also love, other than this one right here, which I always rag on, but I rag on this one because I feel like I need to rag on one, and this is my least favorite of the bunch. I have over the last 2 years become a big Natasha Denona fan in spite of myself. So these I'm very happy to own. I love them all. I doubt that I'll ever get rid of these. I will just say this though. Now, I still think if someone was to ask me, do you think those palettes are worth their price? That's a hard question to answer because I don't think, I mean, I would like them to be less expensive. That would be nice for everyone, don't you think? But I do understand why they're more expensive. The quality of them is really nice. I don't even think I caught on to that initially. It was one of those like slow burn kind of loves where I tried out one, I was like, okay, that's pretty good, but that was so much money. And then another one came out and I thought, I kind of want to try that one as well. And I did. And I was like, that one's also pretty good. And then I tried another and another and another. And I just kept buying them. And the more I use them, the more I've noticed like the quality difference in their eyeshadows is definitely there. That said, do I think it's worth the massive price difference, these versus say like my Wet n Wild palettes that I really love that are so much more affordable? I'm going to say no. The price difference is much bigger than the quality difference, I guess, if we're like talking about scale here. So if you are on a budget, I don't want you to feel like you're missing out on so much by not trying out or using Natasha Denona. I enjoy my Wet n Wild palettes just as much as I enjoy Natasha Denona, just for different reasons. But I cannot deny that I have really come to love her palettes. Their packaging is really nice, definitely better than the Wet n Wild. So if you are someone that packaging is a big deal to you and you can't stand when your packaging breaks, that's probably always going to happen with anything Wet n Wild. So that is a difference here. These are all holding up really well. They are plastic packaging, but it's much better quality, you can tell. I love all of them. I love the midi palettes. These ones are so much fun. I imagine I'll continue to collect these as long as I'm doing YouTube or as long as we're able to still afford our mortgage payment. I am planning to come back and do a ranking video of these, both the minis and the midi palettes. And despite the fact that every time I come on here, I'm always kind of trying to justify why I bought them or why I'm kind of regretting that I love them. And I know that does kind of annoy some of you that I'm always like apologizing for liking more expensive makeup, but I don't even do it necessarily for you guys. It's more of like there's just something inside of me. There's a part of me that's very, very frugal minded, and I like imagine my former self or like my grandma looking down on me and wondering, how are you spending money on something like that when I used to hand wash styrofoam plates? Really, it's just something that kind of goes against a part of my nature, but I do love them. I really do love them. They are crazy pricey, but I am reluctantly happy to own them. And that is it, you guys, for the products in my collection that I loved so much after trying them out initially that I had to collect some more or collect them all. What do you guys think of this video? Were you surprised by any of these? I would love to know how many of these you were able to kind of guess if you've been watching me for a while. I'd also love to know if you guys have products in your collection that you've collected that maybe I haven't tried out yet. I'd love to hear what those are because I'm always on the lookout. My wish list never ends and I have some space in my collection now, so let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me remind you one more time, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to my channel before you leave. But that's it for today. Thanks again, you guys. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.